Did you know when you meet someone for the first time, you start to make instant decisions about them within around 7 seconds? I thought I would apply this principle to synthesizers. Now, you can't make much of a decision about a synth within 7 seconds other than to say it looks cool or to listen to the first preset. So I am giving myself a little bit more time than that. But what I want to do is to give you not a first impression, but a first glance impression of around 18 synthesizers. A couple of weeks ago, I made a video about whether or not you should upgrade to Komplete 14 or indeed buy into the Komplete ecosystem. I suggested a very easy method which I used to decide to upgrade. If you're still on the fence, you might find that useful. I shall pop a card up there and there's a link to that video in the description. But essentially, I picked instruments that I absolutely really wanted to see and to try. And I came up with a short list of about 19, 20, something like that. So what I thought might be interesting, since I haven't actually used any of these, was to give you my first at a glance impression of these instruments. I've installed them all, but I've probably only played with them for perhaps 5 minutes maximum, so there's absolutely no attempt at any sort of serious review. This is just my instant 7-second reaction to some of the sounds and the interface. If you want to check out my at-a-glance opinion of any of these instruments in particular, I shall leave a list and a time in the description. So let's head over to the music machine and get started. So this is a slightly different view of my studio and of me, but you were looking at me as if you were the music machine, or at least the monitor. Right, we have umpteen synths to get through and only 7 days to do it, so let's get started. This is the list which I showed you in the previous video. So let's start at the top and work our way down. The instruments in the left column are those available in the Ultimate collection, and those in the right column, I think there's only 3, are those available in the Collector's Edition. So first on the list is Kontakt 7. So here it is, and you can immediately see a difference. Instead of the little oblong rectangular blocks containing the instruments, they now appear as tiles as they do in Komplete. This is a massive improvement in my opinion. It makes it far easier to see the instruments. I've got a lot of Kontakt instruments, and also you can select instruments by the various qualities and characteristics here by clicking on these settings. So that's great. There are a few other differences. This is a first impressions at a glance video, so I'm not going to go into them, but immediately this looks a lot better and I like it better than the previous version of Kontakt. I only use it for playback. I have never used it to create any sample instruments. But one reason for getting Kontakt 7 is that a lot of free and cheap and even not so cheap sample libraries will only run in the latest version of Kontakt, and as developers move on to Kontakt 7, then some of the newer libraries will not work, I suspect, in Kontakt 6. It may take a while to change over, but that will happen eventually. So it's a form of future proofing. Right, now a lot of the instruments which I'm going to look at are actually based in Kontakt. However, I am not going to open them directly in Kontakt. I'm going to open them in Komplete Kontrol for a very good reason, which I'll get to in a moment. So this is Komplete 14 and Komplete 13 and Komplete 12. This has not been updated much, I think, to everyone's disappointment. It's looking a little bit long in the tooth. It works fine. I'm not totally sure how they could improve it. They could make it resizable and do a few other bits and pieces. Anyway, so if we click on instruments, then we have these lovely little tiles down here, and as we scroll through you can see there is only one version of Kontakt, and it's just called Kontakt. For some reason Kontakt 6 was just called Kontakt. It wasn't called Kontakt 6. but it was Kontakt 6, and the new Kontakt is Kontakt 7. However, in Komplete it still just appears as Kontakt, which is fine, but at first I thought I'd lost Kontakt 6, which I haven't, although I suspect most instruments will automatically open in Kontakt 7, which is absolutely fine. So next on the list after Kontakt is BX Oberhausen. Hello, this is your friendly video editor. Actually, it's still me. I've just changed my shirt and I'm sitting on my hands, a compositional technique taught by Hans Zimmer, no less. Now, the next two plugins on the list are by BX Brainworks. They come from Plugin Alliance, which is one of the company's Native Instruments is associated with recently. These plugins are not installed through Native Access, but through Plugin Alliance's installer. Now, I just assumed that it would put all the plugins and all the files in all the places that they needed to be. They are NKS compatible. The icons show up in Komplete, but when I tried to launch them, Komplete couldn't find the plugins. So I thought I would do the other plugins, see if I could fix the problem and come back to those two later, and of course I forgot. The problem was simply that Komplete was not scanning the directories it should have been scanning. So once that problem was solved, they worked perfectly. However, by this time I had dismantled my setup on the music machine, so when I came to record them, you don't get me in the corner. I hope that's all right. I just wanted to pop in here and explain what had happened. So here we are with BX Brainworks Oberhausen running in Komplete, which is wonderful. As you can probably tell, certainly from the name and the look, this is a recreation of the Oberheim SEM expander from way back. It has a few tricks up its sleeve though, so let's just play a few of the sounds to start with. So that sounds like it has reverb in it, and this is a big brassy sound. Let's just run through some of the presets. And an arpeggiator or something going on in there. Weird. Oh, that's a big sound. Bit too big for me. Spacey twang. And a stereo image in that one. That's nice. So as well as the usual suspects, this is NKS compatible. It is running in Komplete, so I can twiddle the controls on my keyboard and you can see them moving. No idea what this is doing to the sound, but that's really cool. It's one of the really great features of NKS compatibility, certainly in third-party instruments. You can see a list of the presets and categories here. There's a lot to keep you busy. Let's try this one. Nice. The effects really do make a difference, I think. And this little icon opens another window which gives you, I think I probably lost this off the bottom of the screen, but it gives you access to additional features up here, which I'm not going to go into. This is more than an SEM emulation. So at a glance, first impressions, yes, this does sound really great. It also has 32 note polyphony, so they've certainly enhanced the original module. Right, next. So this is the infamous Knifonium. Infamous because the original hardware on which this is based is a 26 tube hardware synthesizer, which costs, I believe, in the region of £16,000. So just look at all these knobs, which would be absolutely wonderful on a hardware unit. Just about one knob per function, I am sure. However, the software version has also enhanced the original. And if we click this little icon again, you can see it has a whole host of effects built into it. and that's bouncing around the stereo image, and that is just absolutely super. So let's close this and listen to some of the other sounds. Interesting. Oh, spacey sounds. A kick. That's a big brassy sound. With reverb. Spinning around the stereo image. I don't know what that's supposed to be. That goes on for ages. It does like brass sounds. That's weird. That runs around the stereo image. If you are listening in stereo, you will know that. So a lot of these sounds have a stereo image on them. Oh, it's another one. It's I'm listening on headphones. That's just bashing my eardrums in. Oh, it's wonderful stuff. These are absolutely wonderful. Let's just scroll down a little bit. Some really big sounds, and of course again this is NKS compatible, so I've no idea what twiddling these dials will do. Thank you. Yeah, you can see the levers, you can see the knobs moving as I'm moving the controls on the S49 keyboard. It's just the idea of a synthesizer based on vacuum tubes. Heinbach would absolutely love this, I'm sure, if he hasn't got one already. So this probably sounds like many other synthesizers. You can see what sort of features and modules and facilities it has on the main panel. But the addition of the effects, I think, certainly take it to a slightly different place. And just knowing that the origin of this was a vacuum tube-based synthesizer gives another level of interest, I think. Next is Playbox, and here it is. So let's open it up, and we can select a preview here. That sounds interesting. Let's open it up in Playbox. Okay, well, I like this already. Now, I have seen a few videos about it, but I have to say I didn't take too much notice of it. It has been out for a while. It's supposed to generate sounds and riffs and harmonies, I don't know, melodies, whatever. And there's a big button in here, a big dice button, which lets you shuffle things around. So let's have a go with the dice. That's nice. I sound surprised. This is just sort of one or two keys. This... What? This is amazing. Okay, let's just run through some of the presets. Siren going off in the background. Oh, stereo movement. I hope you're listening in stereo. Okay, this is a brief overview. I love this. I am really looking forward to getting stuck into this and seeing what else it can do. Next, Super 8. So here is Super 8, and this also runs in Komplete. All of the native instruments run in Komplete. Let's hear the first preset. That's nice. This is essentially a subtractive synth, I believe. Okay, this is one preset and I like it already. So one of the main reasons for running these in Komplete is that Komplete automatically maps parameters to an S series keyboard. So if I twiddle...
Filter, cut off. 0.
Okay. Oh, who was that? One of the advantages, well, for visually impaired people with the S series keyboard is that it can actually talk to you if you are running Komplete. So I'm going to adjust some parameters and you will hear a little voice coming to you through I've got a set of computer speakers here. So
cut off 1.
So this, thank you. So this is the cutoff frequency. I'm twiddling one of the knobs on the S series keyboard, my S49.
Cut off 6. 0. 77. 70. 60.
You can see the controls.
Minus 95. Minus 63. Minus 22.
You can see the controls on the instrument moving.
Minus 45.
Okay, thank you. So that is I mean, obviously that's a big advantage if you can't see particularly well. But you can also control this from the keyboard as well. You can select instruments through Komplete Kontrol. That's another video altogether. But one of the reasons, as I said, for using Komplete Kontrol is that because you can adjust the parameters of the instruments using the controls on the keyboard. They are automatically mapped to what they think are going to be the most useful parameters. So this is a great feature in Komplete. Let's try. Oh, there's a nice bass sound. Synthy sound. Oh, that's a nice one. Select that one. Nice. Very synthy. Okay, it's a subtractive synth. It looks to be fairly easy to control. Yes, good. It's not blown my socks off, but it's a really interesting instrument. I look forward to getting to grips with that. What's next? So 7-player series. These are what I would call enhanced expansions. Apologies if that's not a good description, but they are additional sounds. They're not just expansions. They're not just presets for some of the existing instruments, as most expansions are. They are little instruments in their own right, if you like, with samples or whatever in them. But just to save time, because we don't want to be here for the rest of the week, I'm just going to skip those. I have installed one which is Gaze. Is it Gaze or Glaze? It's a series of vocal riffs, which is really interesting. So I quite like that. I like vocal sounds and so on. Let's move on. So the next one is I've written down 1.5 pianos. This is because I was really interested in the Noire piano and sort of half interested in piano colours. So let's just have a quick look at Noire. So this is Noire, and essentially it's a felt piano, but it has a lot more going for it than just a piece of felt. Now what's quite interesting, I've pressed a chord. I'm going to lift my fingers off the keys, and you can hear the keys being released. Very interesting. It's not the only piano sample library that I have which does that, but that is quite cool, I think. Let's just run through some of the presets. So this is a felty sound. It's a dark sound, felty sound, lots of sustain. Nice. It's almost a heavy sound. Got some nice piano sounds in it. Sounds like an organ. You may have noticed that the presets, the previews as I step through, I'm pointing at the screen, what am I doing? The presets as I step through them are much louder than the actual sounds. I find this a bit strange because some of the instruments in Native Instruments series do seem to be mixed at a much lower volume than others, in particular acoustic instruments. Maybe that's deliberate, but it makes it slightly more difficult to balance. You have to fiddle about with the volume levels if you are using two different sets of instruments in the same piece. So that's gonna record very quietly. I've turned the volume up a bit, so that'd be a little bit better. Oh, very twangy. That's nice. Okay, this is like lots and lots of sounds here to explore. Yes, I like this one. Next is piano colors. Load this up. Okay, well this is immediately got my attention because I love arpeggios. Now I'm going to have to reduce the volume of. See, this is a pain. Like they couldn't balance the volumes of all the instruments. They've probably got some technical excuse for it, but it's not very friendly. Anyway, so here we are. Arpeggios. Okay, this has gone from being a 0.5 to possibly a 0.6. Oh, I'm a hard taskmaster. Interesting. So I'm just stepping through the previews, so I haven't really looked at the interface. Not just a piano. At a glance. Oh, okay, this is definitely gone up to a 1, so this is, yes, anything with an arpeggio is probably going to get my vote. Lovely. Next, Arkhis. So this produces layered sounds. Just stepping through the previews. That sounds like a guitar or something in there. So the interesting thing here is there are 3 layers. You can select different layers, and again, this is why I put this in Komplete Kontrol. You can adjust.
Blend layer.
Oh,
1%.
Yes, my keyboard is talking to me. I can adjust the parameters from the keyboard. You can see that.
88%. 58, 64, 64%.
And the keyboard is telling me what I'm doing. So this is great. It's not exactly the same as having a physical instrument, but it's the next best thing. And running these instruments in Komplete gives us this sort of control. If you have a Native Instruments S series keyboard, of course. Let's try. Have you heard something like this in a movie score? I think so. Nice, I like this. Yes, it hasn't got the immediate, well, for me it doesn't have the immediate jump out and grab you by the throat effect. It's probably just as well, but it is really nice, and I love being able to layer sounds, and it's obviously got an arpeggiator or something in here somewhere, so that is brilliant. Next is Ashlight. So this is Ashlight, and it's another sort of layered pad type instrument. I mean, this does sort of grab me round the throat gently, as it were, but I love layered sounds and pad sounds and ambient sounds and sound which change and which evolve. And this is just the preview. Let me play this one note. You can see the waveform moving across the screen. I saw this when it was launched, but you know, I think the prices of these things is just a bit silly individually, especially when you can buy them all in a bundle. Anyway, that's just me. So I just didn't buy it. I wasn't going to pay that much money for it. But in a bundle, I mean, this is just, listen to this. It's just sort of an instant ambient machine. I love it. Next. So here's Laws. This is another one. Just load it. This is another one which is only available in the collector's edition. They must think it's pretty special. And it's another evolving pad layer thing. Oh, that's wonderful. It was recorded, I think, with a mixture of sort of acoustic instruments. So the sounds are very organic. Wonderful. Yes, this is a reach out and grab you around the throat instrument. Absolutely. I love this. It's organic and evolving, and it sort of sounds natural. Oh, what's going on here? I'm going to have to leave this. That's got vocals. It's an instant soundtrack. Yes. Oh wow. Okay. Love this one. Let's see what's next. So this is Mallet Flux. And it has an arpeggiator in it. Instant hit with me. Holding down 2 notes. Three notes. Oh, is this love at first sight or what? I can't resist these little bell tinkly arpeggios. Oh, this is the preview. What does the whole thing do? Let's try G minor. Okay, very Harry Potter. It's a Harry Potter instrument. Oh, absolutely. I love this. Next, wonderful. Next, Mysteria. Wow, that's a face. Oh, that's a face. 1 note. I'm holding down 1 note. It's a complete performance. What's it doing? So it's got this little XY pad in the middle. Ooh, that's Mysteria hysteria. It gets hysterical. Manic. Let's hear this one. Bit more subdued, bit slight, not a tonal quite, but yes, it gets hysterical if you move the. It's an instant soundtrack, and because one of the nice things, I'm just going to bring my little friend in to play this.
XY pad, X blend, 29%.
So I'm just moving 2 of the controls, and I haven't got a free hand to play the keyboard.
Minus 21, 6,
let me.
60, 59.
I shall
blend,
try moving 60%. The controls with 1 hand.
Y intensity, 43%.
So if you have an thank you. If you have an XY controller, then you could use it with this. Let's try some other sounds. I don't know if you'll be. Oh, the faces have changed. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. There's a very, very low sub bass. I suspect the bassist, I suspect the lowest part of this bass will be lost. I'm playing middle C here. This is C 2 octaves below. That's a really low rumbly sound. It's weird. Let's try some. It is mysterious, isn't it? It's a horror soundtrack machine. Not just horror. Most horror movies, I think, use a massive amount of sound design, a little bit of music as well, but a lot of it is sound design. But thrillers and suspenseful movies, anything like that, this would be absolutely perfect. I love the changing faces. That's wonderful. I love this one. So what's next? So this is Pharlight, one of Ashlight's cousins, sisters, brothers, and this is a similar sort of idea, but the sounds are made up from vocals, I believe. And if you know me, you will know I love vocal sounds. Next. Try this. That's wonderful. Is that a bit more sinister? The voices sound quite angelic, so it'd be interesting to see if there aren't any sinister sounds in here. Breathy. Oh, that's spinning about the stereosphere. Not just voices. Very atmospheric. I mean, these are wonderful. I love things like this. Let's see what's next. So this is Sequis. It's got to have a sequence in here somewhere. Interesting. Let's try a couple of the presets. Oh, it's looping. Well, you could write a cue on top of that, couldn't you? Wonderful. And that. And that. So it's another instrument which combines sounds and layers and all sorts of lovely stuff.
99, 100%, 63%.
Just fiddling with these controls to see what happens.
1/2.
It's obviously changing something.
90s, 100%. Mod wheel, mod wheel, mod wheel.
Mod wheel. Okay. So you can see why I put these on my really wanted list. They do have a similarity in that there are a lot of sampled sounds, a lot of layers which change and evolve, and which give you control over the changing and evolvement of the layers and the combination of the layers. I just love stuff like this. Let's keep going. Next. So this is Straylight, the third sibling in the Light series, and it's another instrument with samples and layers and modulations and movements between them. That's nice. A stereo effect there. Ooh, not all pretty. What's this one? There's a big heavy bass in here. I hope that's not distorting. I don't know if you'll be able to get the full depth of that through YouTube. I mean, some of these sounds in these instruments, I mean, they almost write their own cues. If you're doing movie stuff or if you're doing ambient music, you can put something down and build something on top of it. But you can also use it in other genres. You could use a lot of these sounds just about anywhere, just as a one-off, as a bass line perhaps even, or just as a sprinkly on top of the tune. Speaking of sprinklies, Sounds like a doorbell, the bell that rings when you walk into a shop sometimes. Customer. Next. So, Quiet Omnia. This is a very big sampled instrument. I have solid state drives and it took several seconds to load. I thought the computer had locked up. So it seems to only have 4 presets, but no, that didn't happen when I selected it. So it seems that you only have the 4 presets, soprano, alto, tenor and bass, but you can't actually create little phrases with it. Now there's something which I haven't got into, so I can't demonstrate it. So the only way I can demonstrate it is to play the previews. So this is something which I'm looking forward to experimenting with. I have a few sample libraries anyway, but building your own phrases is really cool. I don't think it's going to let you create lyrics of any sort, but just being able to create different phrases for big choir sounds and little choir sounds is excellent. I am going to enjoy exploring this. Next, we're nearly there, the Stradivari Violin. So I'm a sucker for a good string sound as much as the next man. I attempted to play an Irish jig, I shall refrain. So I just thought this would be a really warm, full violin sound. It apparently has a lot of articulations. Well, that was just me playing really clumsily on the keyboard, and I think that sounds really, really nice. I am absolutely going to have to find a piece to put a violin line in. Right, how are we doing? I think we have almost finished. There's only one left, that's the BX Christie Tuner. This is a vocal processor. Difficult to demonstrate on its own. I think I would need to load some vocal sounds into it and to use it to process it. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this there. I'm going to head back over to my usual place. So I hope you enjoyed that briefest of brief at a glance opinions. I certainly found it interesting and I enjoyed doing it, and I am really looking forward to exploring these more in depth. Did you pick out a favourite from that? Let me know in the comments. Or do you have another favourite synth from the complete collection? A couple of things arising from this. I have not yet installed all the instruments in Complete 14 Collector's Edition. If you check the specs, you will see that this needs 1.5 terabytes of disk space. The disk I have allocated to Complete is only 1 terabyte, so it falls some way short. There is not an easy way to split the files across 2 or maybe more disks. This really should be easy enough to do, to program into native access. You can do it on an instrument by instrument basis, and in fact I did that to get some of these instruments up and running, but it is slow and tedious. So I bought myself a bigger hard disk. It's a solid state drive, and all being well I will transfer everything onto that one drive. Another thing I'd just like to say, there were 3 instruments in the collector's edition which made me want to buy it. there are dozens of other instruments in it, so I am a little miffed that Native Instruments decided to put some of the synths in the collector's edition. I think previously, certainly in 12 if memory serves, the only benefit to buying the complete Ultimate Collector's Edition was to get all the expansions. As I said in the previous video, I wasn't really that interested in the expansions. However, perhaps Native put a few goodies in the Collector's Edition to try to encourage people to upgrade to the top level. So that's about it. I know this has been a long video. If you're still with me, thank you very much indeed. I really do appreciate you spending your time watching my videos. I hope you enjoyed it and got something from it. Please do leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you have enjoyed this video, then perhaps you would like to consider subscribing to the channel, ringing the bell. Thank you, so YouTube will tell you when I post new videos, and please do click the big thumb because that helps enormously. Well, that's it for this one. I'm going to lie down in the dark room now. I will see you again very soon.